and welcome back to the Lords of Loud. We're just four music fans living in Australia who love a bit of a debate about music. We thought we'd move our email discussions and rants into the podcast era. I'm Lord Ben, King of the Lords, and Beatles tragic prog rock fan, and I'm your host. And as always, I have with me Brett, Lord Brett, who has the perfect hair for any podcast. I have with me Lord Al. He's a living anachronism, a man who loves Seal and Slayer.
That's the both of them.
And of course, we have Lord Kev, and it's not really his accent that makes him hard to understand. If you listen to our introductory session, you would know that we're just four guys who love to crap on about music.
Just four guys. Four
guys.
regular guys.
Sitting around in a circle.
Just regular guys.
And if the introduction somehow spurred you to listen to episode 1, then maybe you need to question your intelligence.
That's right. Absolutely. What are you doing here? Isn't there a Pitchfork article you should be reading or something? So anyway, this episode...
And the subject is?
And the subject for this episode is musical Meccas. So this is places, if you're on your rock and roll or pop music pilgrimage, where would you want to visit in the world? What are the places you'd have to go to?
So rules, are these...
these are places that still exist.
Travel in time?
No, you cannot travel in time. Oh, this is places that exist still to this day.
We're going to have to go around clockwise in this
so
case, because if I can't travel through time... No DeLorean for you to have.
For me, the obvious one is Abbey Road Studios in London, home of all the Beatles recordings.
Really?
I know that comes as a shock to you, kid. That would be my first pick if I had to pick. Any.
But why?
Well, obviously, obviously the Beatles. Greatest band of all time. They recorded all, apart from bar a few minutes of recordings in Abbey Road Studios, mostly in Studio 2. During the White Album, they recorded in a couple of the other studios there, but obviously the core of their recordings were in Abbey Road.
So
other bands
anywhere else?
They didn't record. They did do some recordings in Sky and a couple of other studios.
Trident and so on.
Trident, yep. But yeah, the vast majority of their stuff was recorded in Abbey Road. But you've also got Pink Floyd, my second favourite band, did the bulk of their recording at Abbey Road as well. So Abbey Road Studios would obviously be a pretty easy choice for me.
Steeped in earnestness.
Steeped in that's right. And it's got the crosswalk that you can walk over.
Yeah.
I know, Brett, you've actually been there. You've walked over the crosswalk.
I've done the walk. But I think you want to go inside. I think you want to go inside Studio 2, the big one.
Yes, absolutely.
Try and lick the sweat off the carpet.
Yep, that's right.
Sure.
Is there any of McCartney's sweat still here that I can wring out?
On the keyboard, there'd have to be something.
Yeah, some of his hand sweat, whatever.
Grease
would be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
because I think they still have some of the instruments there as well.
Yep. They've done big sell-offs over the years of a lot of the Beatles stuff, and McCartney actually buys a lot of the stuff as they sell it off.
Okay.
They've had to get rid of a lot of the equipment, but he tries to, when he can. Someone gives him sort of forewarning, and he tries to buy a lot of the equipment.
Is he an enthuist for Beatles?
He's an enthusiast. He's a Beatles enthusiast. Yeah,
he loves the band. Absolutely,
he's their biggest fan.
Oh.
I think he's got a bit of competition there.
In fact, he thinks they're underrated. And of course, what's really interesting about Abbey Road Studios is that's not what they were called originally. It wasn't until after the album that they changed the name because it was great advertising for them. So they were EMI Studios up until Abbey Road. Abbey Road, the album was released, and then they changed it to Abbey Road Studios.
Right, there you go. Yeah,
cashed in on it. Sellouts.
Yeah, totally.
And it happens to be the greatest Beatles album as well. So there you go.
Sorry, which is the
Abbey Road, the album. It's the greatest Beatles album. Okay.
Beatles, four guys, they were English, something like that.
Yeah.
Had a few
they'll
hits.
come up a few times during the...
but notice it was the best Beatles album, not best album, just Beatles.
I liked With the Beatles.
Did you? Yeah. That's all right. I wwon't blame you for that.
I like that single where they did When Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean on the B-side.
I like that song's about hands.
I Want to Hold You?
Yeah. I thought you meant some German guy.
Okay,
so Brett, what do you think?
So So my Mecca would be Greenwich Village. Unfortunately, for our viewers, customers, clients, whoever's listening to us, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. So Greenwich Village, New York, wandering around those places down there would be a bit of a Mecca. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of the venues you can see anymore.
Yep.
I know Cafe Wire is still there, but most of them.
You'd have descendants of the pigeons that were around when Bob Dylan was there.
That's right. That's right. Same
That's
pigeons.
That's
On
right.
some of the tops of those buildings, it's probably the same pigeon shit.
Probably.
Yeah.
And it would be full of wankers,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know,
You could fit right in.
Especially
Big poets. Yeah.
So you've gone from sweat to pigeon shit. So you're already ahead of
That's
of
right.
Abbey Road. As far
That's
as I can
right.
see.
Yeah. But that would be because lots happen in Greenwich Village. So I just think it's interesting. And but
And go.
I just think it's an area really steeped in New York tradition in music. So
Absolutely.
would have been pretty groovy back in the 60s, early 60s, hanging around there.
Yeah.
Far out.
Yep. Listening to the folk music, and then and there was jazz there already. So yeah, just a really interesting
Good choice.
cultural happening.
Yeah. What do you think, Al? Where would you be off to?
Gracelands, I think.
Gracelands. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good call.
Now,
They built a whole house after the song.
so why? Because
Why?
he lived there, but no music came from there, right?
Not as far as I know.
But it's
was-
the museum.
Well,
that's
it's
recording
kind of
to Elvis. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you went there,
And his grave's there.
you'd feel that sense of
So
at least that
are
part
you
of
an
it.
Elvis fan?
Yes and no. There's a fair bit that I like, but it's mainly the later stuff and not all of it. I'm a greatest hits type of Elvis fan.
Right.
Sure.
Whereas the early
It's
stuff,
the
it's just like,
respect.
it's like
the
some of the
general
early
respect.
stuff, it's just like, that's good, but then you have 20 songs that sound the same.
Yeah.
And then you've got, the ones that stand out, and they're quite good. But
So you're not a I want teddy bear. You're a teddy bear fan?
bird.
But you'd want to see the toilet that he fell off.
Yes, yeah. You're
Yes,
more.
So it's like Elvis is such a huge cultural persona.
yeah.
It's almost like, what type of Elvis fan are you?
Yeah.
Is a podcast option in itself,
Yeah.
because people do like him for different things. People like him because they like to laugh at him in a way,
Yeah.
and like actually that was one of his strongest periods, like that end of his career.
Absolutely.
Mark was
Yeah,
one of his
Yeah.
that's his redemptive kind of later
Mm.
years type of thing.
And that's
But
the
it
thing,
was
like-
also kind of ridiculous.
And I think that's Elvis is, like you say, he has unaccountable impact on rock and roll and on pop music and culture.
But
And yet he went
You
through
don't mean
those
shit to Chuck
periods
D.
of that's right. But he went through the periods of sort of complete being a revolutionary, having the respect of people, changing the culture, and then also had that later period of sort of ridicule and it's time to hang it up type thing. But overall.
And he was
His
also
impact
just
was
so
incredible,
used as well. That's the
Yeah,
interesting
well,
thing, I
he
think.
broke ground. Yeah, he was one of the. That's right. Yeah, he was used as an artist. He did well out of it, but at the end of the day, he didn't do as well as he should have or could have.
And he didn't do what he
But
wanted
he was
to do,
breaking that ground.
Mm.
He was the first to go and do that. And then I know. I'm sorry to bring up another Beatles reference, but
Well, you're not really.
hashtag not so.
Listeners, he has his fingers crossed at this point.
So, but I know, he did it on his own. The Beatles also broke similar ground, but there was four of them to sort of lean on each other. He was
What
there
you're saying is
as a
he was
solo
better
artist.
than the Beatles on a purely mathematical level.
No,
He was like
no.
5 Beatles.
No, but the Beatles were his biggest.
Well, he was
fan.
4 times better than the
It was
Beatles.
N to the
Or it could be 5 if you
Over
include
4.
George Martin.
So he must have been the first truly international rock star.
He was the first major pop rock.
Would everyone be okay
star.
with that?
Yes.
depends. You know, like if you watch any documentary, it just makes that particular character in the documentary. If you watch the Frank Sinatra documentary, all of a sudden, do you know what I mean? It's like,
but that's a good point. But it's where do you draw the line on popular music? Do you start back?
I'll tell you an interesting one.
In the crooner era.
As a performer, he never left America. Parker wouldn't let him leave the States, right? Because he didn't have a strong US citizenship. And he knew that if Elvis travelled overseas, he wouldn't be able to go with him and control him. So he never let him play it overseas apart from once.
Wow.
So Elvis Presley, as a performer, never played apart from, I think, once outside of the States. He never toured the world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he could have. And that would have been a different thing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of tricky.
Yeah. I mean, we could do a whole show on Colonel Parker, right? Because he was just,
and maybe we will. Season 3, Colonel Parker.
Bad managing. Yeah, we could do. Imagine that.
Who were the worst managers of all time?
That's right.
Or the most evil.
You know, evil. Yes, Alan Klein and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Amy Winehouse story.
Yes.
That type of thing. So, Alan, where are you going? You're going to
Graceland.
Graceland.
Good choice. Good choice.
Mm-hmm. Where are you going? Are you spinal tapping it? Are you in the... What is it? Did they sing Hound Dog? Same key, I think.
No, it'd just be very interesting. And even though, like you say, no music that I know of come out of there, it's just a very confusing character. Like I read a biography, and like he had this really pitiful sinner type of view of himself. You know, he'd do all these gospel albums, and but then he was just such a bad boy as well. There with this Polaroid camera taking photos of teenage girls in their panties.
Is that wrong?
Did he just...
Well, times were different then.
I've got an iPhone to look at it.
He was, he was, but he had a lot of insecurities, and that came from
he was
troubled upbringing and stuff like that. Like he just wanted to be accepted at the end of the day, and that's why he wanted to meet presidents. He wanted to get honorary FBI badges and things, or it was CIA or FBI. He wanted to sort of be in the group all the time.
Yeah,
and he had this big group of hanger-oners who sort of fed that ego, and unfortunately,
and the drugs.
At the end of the day, that sort of that's right. At the end of the day, that was I guess.
And in the end, it self-perpetuates itself because he then surrounds himself with people who don't let him to.
Yeah, who don't say
lead
no.
him to good things.
They say yes, yes, Elvis, we'll get you that. Of course. Yeah. Oh, you're the greatest. Yeah, of course.
I have seen his white jumpsuit in the lobby of the Las Vegas Hilton.
Oh,
wow,
it's pretty full on.
Yeah.
He didn't mind a sparkle.
Dazzling.
He didn't mind a sparkle or two. There was, that's probably a little indicator too of his "please accept me" and everyone look at me.
That's right.
You couldn't look at anyone else who was wearing that thing.
Nothing left to the imagination. Where would you go, Kev? What's your?
I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I'm really because I can't travel in time.
No.
So I just have to go to places that exist right now. Yeah. I guess the type of music that I really like doesn't have those kind of palaces or like museum type of legacies. I don't know. Like people that love the Doors love to get into the cemetery in Paris.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see, and it's all the graffiti there and stuff like that. And I think this is really weak. But the only thing I can relate it to is like when I went to Camden drinking, there was a pub that they filmed a Madness video clip in, and I was like, this is the stairs, So kind of struggling, don't get me wrong, I would enjoy going to Abbey Road, I would enjoy going to Ashbury Hay and to Graceland. I definitely would as a music fan, but to try and to latch on to one that's just mine and say, oh, that's the one. I don't know. I think it's it's more inside my mind. That's where.
And I think you'd have to be a pretty big fan to go to a place and get and still get something from it. So obviously, Ben, going to Abbey Road, it's a building. And it's only Ben's mind which injects this building with a whole bunch of stuff when really it's not there. It's a building, right?
But then, no, not really, because it is a culturally well-known, it's a tourist destination, but you're going there as a special fan. This is your band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in quotes.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be alone, but you would be having a personal experience, right? But I can't quite...
Because again,
if you compete with that,
if you go back to San Francisco and you stand at the crossroads, Haight-Ashbury, it's a street. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll see, there might be a tie-dye flag somewhere in the vicinity. But I imagine unless you had some really big connection with it, it would be really hard to walk away going, wow, that was a really powerful experience. And that's the thing. You're right. If there's not some location that has a whole bunch of, stuff injected into it, then how you could ever really just walk in there and go, wow, I mean, Graceland, it's very easy. Why? Because he built it. It's full of
and it is a museum still.
It's a museum,
day,
and you'd get a real presence of wow, But if you walk past in London, you walk past and there's a plaque, Keith Richards grew up here, you might go, cool. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah. But do you walk away, going, hand on heart, going, wow.
Well, I think it's stories that are attached to it. Like if you knew this is the house, like okay, let's say this is Keith Richards' house, and you knew that this is where they wrote, Jumpin' Jack Flash, or if you knew this is where they'd written a particular song that could take you back to that time and place, then it would probably mean more. I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Like it's like I'm thinking, okay, what are the great stadiums where concerts were held? But a lot of those have been re-renovated and they're not the same places anymore. Like Shea Stadium, doesn't exist. And a lot of these places don't exist anymore, or have been completely remodeled. And yes, they call them the same thing. Like even something like the Cavern Club for the Beatles. It's not the same original cavern. No. They've rebuilt it in the same location, but it's not the club. No. I can't go lick the sweat off those walls and
well, you can, but it's
think
probably
that
not
some of that's McCartney's DNA. That doesn't.
I think the idea of you getting around the UK just licking stuff is probably a bad idea.
Just in case.
On a lot of levels. But I do have one for you, and it's going to be classically, weird. But favourite band of mine when I was in school was a band called The Fall. I think I've tried to inflict songs of theirs on you. Marquis Smith from The Fall died last year, and it was quite sad and all that. But they've just done a huge mural of his face on a fish and chip shop in his hometown of Prestwich in Salford in Manchester, and it's him smoking a fag, just his face crumpled up nasty, and blowing smoke straight into the eye of the beholder. And I think the quote that goes along with it is something like, I've never let fear get to me, or something like that. Just a kind of but his twist on it. Sorry, I can't remember. There's lots of Fall fans are going there now, getting the picture
becomes a memorial
a bit
almost.
Bigger than probably they anticipated. Like a band that, just a huge discography, were massively impactful. Cult band, definitely, but those things have bubbled through and people have been listening to them now for 40 years or whatever. And if you're on Facebook groups and stuff like that, it's just, here I am outside Mark, and there's heaps of Fall lyrics that you can kind of post up beside it, like "Hey there, fuck face," and make it quite comical. So I think, although I said I couldn't think of one, I've just thought of one.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I remember even just doing it's funny because things that you don't necessarily think you would care about, if you're there and someone points it out to you, it's you think, oh wow, I remember being in LA at Venice Beach, and then we drove sort of along this back street to get back out onto the main road, and someone mentioned that this house was where the Doors sort of lived, while they were recording. When they before they'd even had a record deal, this was the house they lived in, and they'd go out, they'd go out onto the beach and whatever, and it was a very different place obviously back then, but. Remember thinking, I'm a Doors fan. I'm not a super fan. I think it's a period you go through in your life. But
and this is another podcast.
I think the Doors phase is another podcast.
Yep.
The phase band.
But
I thought, that's cool. Like that hit me. And I thought, yeah, of course. And and I'd just been on the beach, and I'm thinking, yeah, I could see, you can picture yourself back there in the 60s, and Raymond Eric's there with his keyboard.
Come on,
Get off that lamppost, Jim.
So I think
put your pants back on, Jim.
God's sake, Jim.
No one wants to see that.
So I have actually done the wrong thing and Googled it just where we're talking, and the quote from Marky Smith is, "Fear is something I try not to absorb," and there he is looking pretty grim, pretty smashed.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not Graceland, is it?
No,
You know what I
it's
mean?
not
Like,
quite
it's a
Graceland.
fish and chip shop that's smoking alcoholic 60-year-old.
But if it was,
I'll have a bag a bit.
You know?
Yeah.
But obviously that's in keeping with the culture of the band. Like they're not going to go and do, here's a beautiful polished monument of.
That's right. Yeah.
And I
of
guess
this
what I'm
artist
saying is that
and-
it's surprising that a band like that does have a Mecca.
A place.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of, it's overnight kind of becoming that.
But it goes
for
back to what you
fans.
said about Morrison's grave. It's a grave, and it's it's a nice grave. But people graffiti it. People paint it. They put flowers. They it turns into, it's almost like it becomes almost a trash heap of
80s
sort of people's,
teenagers.
yeah, that's right, of people's adoration for him.
Yeah.
But there isn't sort of a here's a beautiful golden statue of the band, or here's it turns into something that means something to fans, and that obviously
It's a bit like that, and everyone else is walking down the street going, "That's horrible what they've done up there."
yeah.
Don't like that. Or if you're not a Doors fan and you never heard of the band, you're walking through the cemetery and all this graffiti,
what's
you're just like, I wish they would clear that off.
But I take your point to that, like the mural on the fish and chip shop. You don't want to go in and see a polished Sex Pistols exhibition. You know what I mean? If it's going to be really about the spirit of the band, then it shouldn't be. It should be in some alleyway, where you get ripped off and
exactly.
Someone spits on you on your way out. I mean, you have to get the full experience. Yeah. Whereas Graceland, well, that's exactly what it is.
But he lived that He lived that indulgent lifestyle, so it makes sense.
So when you see I'm sure there must be leopard skin, somewhere in the place, right?
Yeah.
Then you go, well, that's all part of it. And
That's
really,
definitely.
exactly. Well, when he's there, he'll bring it.
Straight.
But it's hard to think of somewhere where people have tried to create a memorial for a band, and it's been successful. You know what I mean? Like, I think people have tried to go, well, here, this is going to be it for this band or whatever. Like, it really has to have some attachment to the group. Like, it has to either be in the place that they played, has to be in a house they grew up in, or in Elvis's case, he actually lived there for a long part of his life. So
I guess bands can be huge and mean masses of things to millions of people, but just not have a physical representation. I was thinking about Nirvana, and when Kurt Cobain died, and I think he had pneumonia or something like that. I can't remember. But when that happened, there was a huge media
syphilis,
event.
I think.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where they were. It was it was a cultural event, but they didn't have a geographical kind of location.
Yeah.
In that sense of like, you can maybe, if you're a mad Nirvana fan, you can go there and find pieces of his hair or whatever. But I don't know.
Or maybe go to the bridge that he used to sleep under.
Yeah, I mean, I know with Supertramp,
Oh, Jesus.
A bit of a jump.
they tried to, put a maid's outfit on the Statue of Liberty as their memorial, but nobody would go with it. Like, it didn't take off.
Didn't take off.
So people didn't understand that reference?
No, they didn't.
But what's really interesting then is that whilst places are hard for people to associate with, objects aren't.
Yeah.
So let's not do free advertising, but these cafes around the world,
Yes.
Particularly
Absolutely.
hard rock, and you can stand there and look at the guitar or Prince's purple overcoat.
Because you have such much more intimate artifacts that this person actually interacted with and were part of performance, part of their craft, part of their
Yeah, and it means so much more when it's this is the guitar that Springsteen played on, blah blah blah, rather than here's, your signed Def Leppard. Okay, right. Well, that's lovely, but to actually see the thing that I hear they wore or played, that's
why
how.
Is it? Wow. Why is it that we even care?
Yeah.
Like we have the song.
Yeah.
Why do we care about the guitar, or why do we care about the lyric sheet, or why do we?
Because it was soul.
Or this was the microphone he sang into. Like, what is it? Yeah, like it's fascinating. Like I want that guitar and I want those things.
Yeah.
But what is it that?
So what you're saying is, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, exactly. What is it that
What's
makes
my psychological problem?
Yeah, what is it that makes you want
That's going to be the
those
subject of our next podcast.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Ben?
I think we'll bring a specialist in there.
We'll need it.
And you're right. You're right because the instrument itself, or the jumpsuit or the microphone, they don't hold special powers, which means that if you bought the microphone, you wouldn't automatically sing.
You can't sound like Freddie Mercury.
Well, I don't know. Hal's got it in him.
Squeeze me the right way, I could.
Your front teeth. So, but then and the same with the guitar. But yeah, you're right. We would, wow, really? And you look at the amounts of money people are paying for this stuff as well.
Yeah, crazy.
Let me ask you guys this question: is there an Australian Mecca? Is there somewhere around? I mean, I'm not talking about the big guitar at Tamworth, right?
Yeah.
Band wise,
have you been to BG's Way at Redcliffe?
What's that band? What's that venue down in Melbourne, right on St Kilda Beach? Like, it's like is it the SP? Right down there, like that's.
Well, I think in Australia, because so many of the bands here grew up through a pub culture, especially the bands from the 70s and 80s, the big bands that we know, that people would know of. Your AC/DCs, your INXS,
depending
Midnight Oil,
depending on the age, Ben.
Sure. Yeah. That's right. For you younger people, everybody comes from Australian Idol, but
that's right.
No. But yeah, back in the time,
what I was trying to say is that when I went there, I could feel a sense of like this is one of those venues that people will talk about. Like all the big bands played here. This is the venue.
You had that culture. It was a pub. Yeah. So it's pubs.
You feel it like sitting in there.
Yeah,
like,
it's pubs that Sydney pubs, Melbourne pubs mostly for the most part.
Yeah.
That bands went through and did their sort of 10,000 hours through, doing their night after night in those pubs. So for really, we don't have the big, I can't think of big venues, and it's not, things like maybe the old Hordern Pavilion or some of the, there's venues, I guess, but
Festival Hall,
things like that, Beatles played at Festival Hall. So, but I think it's more there's probably half a dozen really core pubs that were sort of part of that, generating that sort of music scene.
And the big problem for them was that in the 80s, pub rock died, and so the venues reinvented themselves as discos. And
boo.
Well, but that.
Hey, steady on.
But it would be hard. It would be hard to go back to pubs in Sydney like Selena's and that, which at some point were the forefront for some really hard rock sort of acts. But at some point they had to. Sorry, Al, we're keeping you up. But at some point they had to reinvent themselves. So you get rid of all that crap. Like Festival Hall, let's just in Brisbane knock it down and let's put up some apartments because who wants to go and watch a band there?
Yeah, absolutely, craziness.
So it's a real shame that you missed that. Just the same as there's some really there were some really small pubs in Brisbane which just went under the hammer. The Actually Hotel was a great little venue and had some really, really awesome indie acts in. But at some point developers come along and say, hang on, you're 100 metres from the river. Let's knock this down and let's,
And the Roxy?
The Roxy, yeah.
It went through a few, in the 90s, Brisbane.
Yeah.
You had, all manner of biggish, local bands go through there. And I don't know if it's still, I think it's boarded up now.
Yeah.
But it was a shame to see.
Yep. Venues disappear.
See that go, yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I think we've covered the topic.
I feel
Meccas.
depressed. It was a sad ending. I hope that we can.
Let's lift the spirits for
Yeah.
the next episode.
Yeah.
Everything dies. I think that's the moral.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're all just, we all return to dust. So,
Yeah.
we're all just dust in the wind.
Yeah. As Pizza Tira might have said.
As Kansas once
Oh,
said,
is it Kansas?
famously, yes. All right.
Except for Elvis, who continues to live on in
Sorry, in Graceland.
in Alan's leopard skin underpants.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening, and please join us for the next one.